I want to thank Teagle and Larry and Peter. I find the conversation extraordinary. I think I want to start by just talking a little bit about my personal experience and the experience of my colleague, Dr. Beth Harris, in the back. You know, we had taught in the classroom for 20 years. We taught a fairly tough teaching schedule. We had as many as 4 classes in a given semester. And together we reached somewhere between 100 and 200 students. This semester, the art history content that we created in Smart History and on Khan Academy will reach probably just over 1 million students. And so there is this sort of transformational change that's taking place. Those 1 million students are in nearly 200 countries. Our content is largely being taken in English, but at last count, it had been translated into 24 languages, at least in part. And our numbers are tiny. This is the art history piece in comparison to the numbers of Khan Academy, our sort of parent organization. We are reaching there more than 6 million students each month, and these are individual people. This is not even counting sort of repeats. And so I think we're seeing a tremendous change. One of the questions that I have found so interesting about the talk tonight has been, as Beth and I are really thinking through how we can take a set of ideas that have been constructed largely for STEM and begin to adapt them to the humanities, where there is not necessarily a right answer, right? Where we want to complicate the problems, where we want to understand a variety of paths that a student can take. I want to, I guess, right off the bat, just say that I found Larry's talk incredibly inspirational and very optimistic. I thought the Ithaca report was extraordinary and gives me real faith in the direction of higher education. A couple of issues that I want to very directly respond to. A point, actually, that Peter and Larry both made was that we don't know necessarily what the best delivery methods are for any given discipline. And I want to sort of now back up a little bit to the experiences that Beth and I have had in our art history work. You know, we began working in a community college, and our students were not reading the textbook, and this was our problem. We needed to find a way of solving that. And I think, given all the conversation tonight, I think it's important for us to remember that the vast majority of students out there are not in elite residential environments, and I think it's important to come back to that point. So Beth and I set out to try to find a method for getting high quality art history across to students in a way that was engaging and that brought them to places that they had never been, that they couldn't really even imagine. That is, the Met. You know, these are kids who grew up in New York, but the Met was an alien place. Imagine what it meant to go into a monastery in Italy. Imagine what it would mean for them to go to the Louvre. And of course, this is tremendously intimidating environments for them, right? I mean, the very architecture of the Metropolitan Museum is palace architecture. This speaks of exclusivity. It speaks of, it sort of struck terror in our students. So how could we find a way of making this material accessible to them that was meaningful? And one of the things that we hit on was to make things experiential. That is, technology had a way of bringing the world to them that was quite different from what could happen naturally within a traditional academic setting. So an example of this is we were in, just a couple of quick examples, we were in Rome and we were speaking about a church. We were talking about its facade. It was raining, there was traffic, we were speaking loudly. We ran inside and our voices hushed. Right? You could hear the footfalls against the vaulted ceilings. And the students were, have told us that they were, in a sense, transported into that place. This was a sacred environment. we showed photographs that were not just the straight-on photographs of sort of the Jansen textbook, right? But these showed tourists, they showed worshipers, they showed the multiple ways that things mean in their world. They saw people and fashions that they recognized. This was embedded in their world. There are ways that technology can bring people to these places, can make these environments real to them. There were some sort of very funny examples of this, I think. We were talking about some Caravaggios in a chapel, and we're recording. We almost always record directly in front of the object, and the lights went out, right? Somebody's lira, somebody's euro had run out in the little machine. Somebody else put a coin in, it lit up again, the sound was recorded, and it rang true. There's a kind of authenticity that develops. So we found a method that worked for art history. It's conversational, it's experiential, but every discipline is going to need to find a set of ideas that are true to its core identity, and this will ring as authentic to students, and will, we hope, be able to provide a support to what faculty are doing, to the extraordinary work that faculty are doing in the classroom. I think there's also a kind of marvelous opportunity. When Larry was talking about the need to be able to articulate the value of a liberal education, and a residential one perhaps, this is an issue that's actually very close to my heart right now. My daughter is looking at liberal arts schools, is going around, and I am struck by just how, if I can say this, how poorly we are articulating the value of that experience. I also have a son who's in college, and I think Larry mentioned that he was looking at $60,000. The estimated cost for my college's son, my son's college, was $63,000, and that was for the previous year. So that reality is already here. I think that I want to sort of leverage that idea of articulating the value of being in place and seeing if there's a way that online education can actually enhance that and leverage that. The value of the residential, yes, but possibly connected to a learning community of 6 million people around the world. What is the potential there? What is the possibility there? There is as Beth said, a tsunami that is crashing over us right now. And I think that we need to pay attention to it. We need to not bury our heads in the sand, pretending it's not there. This wave is hitting us, it's hitting the shore, and it's transforming our students. Larry made an enormously important point. It's a, sort of one of these truisms that the students lead. Have we made room for students who are accessing online content and then walk into our classrooms? That is, in the previous discussion, in the other room, the point was made that one of the most powerful sort of learning tools is to have students write their own course outline. But what if students are writing their own syllabus? What if we go beyond that? What if they are literally taking the extraordinary resources that are available to them and begin to construct that learning path? Do we, as faculty, make room for that possibility? Thank you. I look forward to your questions, and I hope that Beth Harris will join me in trying to answer any that might point in our direction. Thank you so much.